Okay, you guys, I hope you're ready for this. This is going to be a very deep conversation about what the heck is going on in the world. You may have seen in the headlines or like on social media something about the Great Reset. Well, that is very much in alignment with what we are experiencing astrologically. What this recording is about is something called the Great Conjunction of 2020. Now, what this is when Jupiter and Saturn meet in the exact same degree in the same sign of the zodiac. Now, why is this such a big deal? Well, I really hope this doesn't trigger anybody. That's the opposite of my intention here. This is not just my opinion. This is based off of years worth of research from other astrologers, philosophers, astrotheologists. Really what this is ancient knowledge. Okay, so Jupiter is associated with Jesus. Saturn is associated with Satan. Okay, so you can imagine when these two guys meet up in the heavens together, something's bound to happen. In fact, they do meet up approximately every 20 years, and the last time they did was 2001, when the Twin Towers came down. So you can understand the significance of this energy. Okay, so this event takes place on December 21st of this year, 2020. But I don't want anybody to think that like, I'm trying to say there's going to be some, like the sky is going to start falling on December 21st or anything like that. That's not the case at all. These guys have been floating near each other all throughout 2020. And that's in part why 2020 has been such an interesting year. Okay. But there's so much more to it. We've also got Pluto involved here. Pluto has been very close to these guys. So I'm going to go into all of these energies. It's a lot of information to process. I hope you can stick with me throughout the video, because if you do, towards the end, I'm going to go into ways to protect yourself through this transformational process. It's really what we're going through. And furthermore, if you can really stick it out, towards the end, I'm going to show you how to discover what area of your life this transformational process is occurring in. We're all experiencing this as a collective, but it manifests in a different house in our natal chart for everybody, okay? So let's see here. I think that I have some notes here because there's so much I have to say and I don't want to forget anything. Okay, so I think first I better tell you that this is on December 21st. They actually meet at the same place around 8:15 Pacific time, 8:15 a.m. Pacific time. So it will be daylight out and it won't be visible then. However, days leading up to this and even days following this, it will be visible with the naked eye. Of course, a telescope or even binoculars would be very beneficial, but not necessary, okay? If we go outside just after sunset when it's dark, look to the west, look for the two brightest lights in the sky that are very close together, and that will be Jupiter and Saturn. And personally, I find it's very helpful to go out and send some prayers to get through this with ease and grace and put your intention towards these energies. Okay, so let's see here. First, I'm going to talk about Saturn, I'm going to talk about Jupiter, and I'm going to talk about Pluto, and then we're going to talk about the sign of Capricorn, because that's where all this energy has been going on. And then we're going to go into the sign of Aquarius. But this affects everybody. And I promise you that you will get something this information will benefit you greatly if you can follow me through this recording. Okay, so Saturn is very restrictive. Saturn creates limitations. Saturn creates restrictions. It's constrictive. It makes things tight. Saturn is very strict. Saturn is associated with old age and time and death. Okay, Saturn, I don't mean to make it sound like Saturn, would be better off without Saturn, because we need Saturn. Saturn really has a lot to do with responsibilities. In fact, somebody who has a really well aspected or placed Saturn in their natal chart tend to be the people who can like go throughout life taking care of responsibilities very well. And then just the opposite of that, somebody who has a very challenged Saturn in their natal chart. These are the people that maybe tend to show up late to things or just have a hard time like holding a job or that sort of thing. Responsibilities, that's Saturn. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about Greek mythology, but only because it makes this even that much more fascinating, okay? Again, we're talking about astrotheology here, which is, it's so helpful to understand this stuff, okay? Saturn, in Greek mythology, is associated with Kronos. Kronos is a character, a tough character, okay? Kronos is the one who had a terrible habit of eating his own children, okay? Kronos is like the Grim Reaper with the scythe, okay? This is a tough, tough energy. But again, we need it. We need these responsibilities, okay? Now, Jupiter is very, very different than Saturn. Jupiter is expansive. It makes energies bigger. It's about excessiveness. Jupiter is about abundance and wisdom, philosophy, faith. Jupiter is a very like jovial energy. Jupiter rules long distance travel, okay? In Greek mythology, Jupiter is associated with Zeus. Now, I'm going to give you the short version of the story, just so you get the point here. Zeus was a child of Kronos. Kronos tried to eat Zeus, okay, his own child. So basically Saturn tried to eat Jupiter, his own child, but was tricked into eating a stone instead. And he's kind of pissed about it, okay? So you can understand these energies do not work so well together, but it all happens for a reason. Now, let's talk about Pluto for a minute. And I'm actually going to pull up the zodiac in a minute and show you exactly what I'm talking about. But Pluto in Greek mythology is associated with Hades, okay? The ruler of the underworld, the netherworld, okay? This is like spiritual energy, but with dark forces, okay? Pluto is the destroyer. Pluto brings death and rebirth. Okay, powerful, powerful transformation. That's what Pluto's job is, to create a death and a rebirth that was more powerful than what was originally there, okay? So, Hades in Greek mythology is another one of Kronos' children. This is one that Kronos ate, okay, in kind of a gnarly way. So, if you can imagine, we've got the father who tried to eat one of his children, was tricked, and then ate the other one, and they're all right next to each other. This is like a bunch of masculine family drama, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so let me make myself a little bigger so you guys can see my face expressions as I go through this, because it's very exciting. Okay, so this right here is the zodiac. Okay, this is the zodiacal wheel. Now, these symbols right here are the signs of the zodiac, and they always go in this order: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Now, this wheel actually rotates. That's the way the sky clock works, but those signs always go in that order. And where we're going to put the focus on is right here. Again, this is the sign of Capricorn, and this is the sign of Aquarius, okay? Now, what all these little guys are the celestial bodies, okay? Here's the moon, here's Venus, here's Mercury, here's the sun. The sun today is at 18 degrees Sagittarius, okay? That's how we can read the sky clock, okay? So we can see right here, this right here is Saturn, this right here is Jupiter, and this right here is Pluto. So you can see that they are all right next to each other, feeling very frustrated about it. Now, let me make sure I covered all that I wanted to. Okay, so now what we need to do is talk about the sign of Capricorn, because that's what these guys have been transiting through, creating, and a lot of this does have to do with the coronavirus in a sense, okay? But there's so much more going on to add to that. But we'll just talk about the sign of Capricorn here so you can get the gist of where I'm going with this, okay? So Capricorn rules authoritarian establishments. Capricorn's like the boss. It's represented by the mountain goat that wants to get on the top of the mountain and be on top like a boss, okay? But that mountain goat is not at the top of the food chain. That mountain goat lives with fear. to protect itself. In fact, people who have a significant amount of Capricorn energy in their natal chart are people who tend to go through life cautiously with, you know, fear to protect themselves. Okay, it's just a natural thing. So, but again, it rules authoritarian establishments. But the fear, with all this energy that's beaming through here, it's influencing massive amounts of fear. Okay, fear of the coronavirus, fear of people, you know, losing their jobs because everything's on lockdown, fear of 5G, fear of vaccines. There's fear everywhere from every which direction. A lot of that has to do with this. In fact, I'd say most of that has to do with this. Okay, now let's see here. I want to make sure I cover everything I want to about Capricorn. Capricorn, again, is authoritarian establishments. It's also the structure of civilizations. Capricorn rules structure, okay, and civilizations. It rules like the structure of them, the buildings, the cities, the streets, the structure of civilizations. And then furthermore, it also rules basically all things deep matrix. Again, this is the structure of things. So here's Pluto, the destroyer, destroying all of those things that I just talked about. Then there's fear involved too, especially with Saturn and Jupiter there. But this is destroying not only the structure of civilizations, all things like the things that we're used to, but it's also, Pluto is destroying authoritarian establishments. Now, Pluto moves very slowly. Pluto still has about another close to 4 years going through the sign of Capricorn, destroying all these things to create a rebirth, okay? But Pluto also reveals secrets. Pluto does not like secrets to be held. Pluto is revealing secrets. How much are we seeing secrets being revealed in authoritarian establishments, government, that sort of thing? Okay, there's Pluto doing that. It's been happening, and it's going to become even more powerful over these next 4 years. Now, let's see here. They cover all that stuff that I wanted to. Yeah. Now, going back to Saturn and Jupiter here in Capricorn. Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn. Each and every zodiac sign is ruled by either one or two celestial bodies. Capricorn is ruled by the sign of Saturn. That being said, it's working with ease. It's in its own castle. It knows where everything is, and it's making the rules, okay? We are seeing restrictions. We're seeing regulations, just like being enforced on us really tough, in really tough ways. That's Saturn and Capricorn energy, okay? Now, Jupiter, this beneficial energy, does not work so well at all in the sign of Capricorn. It's basically working with its least amount of ease. It's all those wonderful energies that Jupiter, you know, influences on us. It's really having a hard time with that. And then furthermore, again, Saturn constricts and Jupiter expands. So we're doing this across civilizations and also traditions. Capricorn also rules traditions, okay? Pluto's destroying some of these traditions for sure, but we're experiencing these like contractions, basically like labor pains through this death and rebirth process that Pluto is influencing. It's painful. It's very, very painful. And it's also, again, there's fear involved. So it's been really tough to see all this, understanding it from like a higher level of understanding, like from an astrological perspective. You know, I'm seeing the immense amount of fear going on and people having such a hard time. And I feel like if people understand what's actually going on and it's all happening for a reason, and if we pull through, we can actually have a more powerful rebirth. And I'm going to go into this, okay, for humanity. We're going into some energy that involves humanitarianism, but not yet. We're still dealing with this authoritarian stuff, okay? So there is that Capricorn energy, Saturn constricting, Jupiter expanding. This is contractions, a rebirth process that we are all experiencing involving fear. Now, of course, this does play a part in the coronavirus, but there's so much more to that. We have Neptune in Pisces, which is a beautiful energy. Neptune rules the sign of Pisces, so it's working with ease there. However, there's hospitals involved and illnesses involved that also can be delusions and illusions. Okay, it's very important that we pay very close attention to the sources of information, that where we're getting our information from, because this Neptune and Pisces energy can create delusions and illusions. It's like a magic. Okay, but it's also, a lot of people are having this incredible spiritual awakening because of this Neptune in Pisces. And then furthermore, we have Uranus in Taurus. Okay, Uranus brings abrupt changes. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit more about Uranus. Uranus is revolutionary, and it brings abrupt, unexpected changes. Taurus is like the earth of the earth signs. We're experiencing incredibly abrupt changes here on Earth. Taurus also rules money. We're seeing incredibly abrupt changes going on with the money system. You know, we're going into like a cashless society. We're supposedly having a coin shortage. Okay, so that is this Uranus and Taurus. We've got Chiron and Aries, which is literally begging for people to learn how to heal themselves. Okay, and we've got a little while for that to go, but Chiron is the wounded healer. Aries is the sign of self. This energy wants us to learn how to heal ourselves, which we can. The body is a fascinating thing. Okay, now, all right, did I cover everything I wanted to cover there? Yes, all right, now let's move forward to December 21st. We can see that this is right now, okay, December 9th, 2020, and right now it is 5:17 p.m. in California, okay? So I'm going to move forward one day at a time, and you can follow, you can follow this energy and watch where it goes, okay? Up to December 21st, and I'm gonna go with around 8:20 in the morning. Okay, there we go. So again, you can see that the sky clock moved, but these guys are still kind of together, okay? But what we see now is here's Pluto still in Capricorn at 23 degrees Capricorn, still revealing secrets, still, you know, destroying civilizations and authoritarian establishments and revealing secrets, all those sorts of things, okay? But now what we have is Jupiter and Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius in 28 minutes. They are exact, okay? This is where things get interesting, okay? Now, they have finally moved out of the sign of Capricorn. In fact, Saturn earlier this year moved into the sign of Aquarius, just kind of peeked in there for a minute, but then had to retrograde back, and they all got squished back together. So in fact, they were all very, very close together throughout the year, really close in March. There was all kinds of really gnarly energy going on in March, but then as the year went by, these energies started to separate from each other, and then they retrograded back together. And so that's just been going on. But finally, we've got Jupiter and Saturn out of the sign of Capricorn, okay? Now, Jupiter, it will be stoked to get out of the sign of Capricorn. Again, Jupiter does not like to be in Capricorn. It does okay in the sign of Aquarius, nothing spectacular, but it's just going to be glad to be out of Capricorn. We'll leave it at that. Saturn, like I said earlier, each zodiac sign is ruled by either 1 or 2 celestial bodies. So Aquarius is actually also ruled by Saturn, okay? Saturn and Uranus. That's why I said earlier we're going to talk a little bit about Uranus, because Aquarius is ruled also by Saturn, so it's working with ease here as well, but it's a very different energy. And Uranus, okay. So Aquarius energy, again, is very, very different than Capricorn. Aquarius energy does not want anything to do with authoritarian establishments. Aquarius is a sign of humanitarianism. Aquarius energy is rebellious. In fact, it is quite apparent that we are entering into the age of Aquarius. Aquarius energy rules technology, it's futuristic, again, it's rebellious, it's friendly, and it's the sign of humanitarianism. Okay, so we still have Jupiter and Saturn. They're exactly conjunct. Okay, so there's this going on. This is a good, for lack of a better term, this is a good and bad energy. and it's going to manifest differently for everybody, but as a collective, we've just got to recognize that there's going to be some interesting energies going on here. Okay. First of all, I'm going to tell you that 0 degrees is another reason that this great conjunction is so powerful, because anything that happens at 0 degrees has that extra like strength to it. In fact, if you were born at like 0 degrees Aries or 0 degrees Pisces or 0 degrees Virgo or 0 degrees Leo or whatever it is, you have like an extra strength of whatever that sign represents. It's kind of like the floodgate of that zodiac sign. It's like opening up everything, and it's very powerful. It's very strong. Okay, so not only is this already a strong thing, but it's a 0 degrees, so that's intense. Now, Aquarius energy, it is represented by the water bearer. It's not a water sign. It's actually an air sign. That's one that tend to confuse people. Aquarius is an air sign. The water signs are emotional, and this is important, okay? The water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, are the emotional energies. Water is associated with the emotions in astrology. Aquarius is an air sign, okay? The air signs are more about intellect, up in the mind, smart, very genius energies, okay? So the water bearer, Aquarius, what it does is it's carrying the water, and one of the key words to describe the Aquarius energy is to detach, okay? It's a detached energy. It's not an emotional energy. It's detaching the emotion from that water and turning that water into pure information. Water carries information. If you haven't heard of this, look into Dr. Emoto's work. He proved this. Water carries information. And that's what the water bear does. It turns this emotional water into information, and then it pours the water out. Water always finds its level and is distributed evenly throughout humanity. So we are getting flooded with information all over the place. It's wild, really. Now, this Aquarius energy, I mean, it's already happening. This age of Aquarius is it's so obvious. So we are just getting, again, flooded with information, and it's only going to get more and more. It's just going to be a little bit overwhelming for some people. Now, this Aquarius energy is this little symbol right here. This is like the waves, the radio waves. Again, Aquarius energy is very much associated with technology. It's futuristic, okay? So we're seeing all kinds of like technology just coming at us like crazy, which is good and bad. Jupiter and Saturn, this is good and bad, because without technology, I wouldn't even be able to make these videos for you guys. And, you know, we wouldn't be able to have access to all this information. The Aquarius technology is wonderful, but it's also dangerous, okay? Talking about like 5G and AI, those things are quite dangerous to the human body, okay? Just talking about, I mean, even what I'm exposed to right now is radiation coming off of my devices, off of my computer. And that's very Aquarius energy. But Aquarius energy, again, is intellect. It's very much associated with genius, okay? So I am not living in fear of this technology, okay? I feel very confident in saying that this Aquarius energy is going to come up with some genius idea to be able to have all of this technology while being able to keep our bodies safe. I mean, the 5G towers and, you know, the smart meters, all those sorts of things are zapping us. It's literally like cooking the inside of our bodies, which is not good at all. So, and it's already happening. There's a website, synergyscience.com, that they've created these devices that can literally just reflect all of that radiation away from you. That's very progressive. That's very genius. That's very forward thinking. That's very Aquarius energy. So again, we're already seeing a sneak peek of this Aquarius energy, okay? Because things don't happen like the minute they come together. It's like a clock. We're getting closer to a certain time, and then as we pass that time, it's not just all at once. It's like we're on the cusp of this energy, already receiving some of it. And not only that, but then we could talk about Vedic astrology and where that all comes in. So again, the reason I brought that up is because I don't want anybody to think that December 21st, all this stuff is going to happen at once. We're leading up to it, and it's going to continue to carry on all throughout 2021. It's just going to become different. This is a very transformational process. So let's see here. Did I cover everything I wanted to about Aquarius? Yes, it's the water bearer. It's wonderful. It's rebellious. That's another thing, is that, okay, so Aquarius energy, again, it doesn't want anything to do with authoritarian establishments. It's a sign of humanitarianism, the people taking care of the people. And we are seeing this happen already. I mean, we are seeing people, going to the streets to pull out their humanitarian cap and really kind of rebel against things that are not so great about our authoritarian establishments. That's Aquarius energy. Again, and it's friendly too. And Aquarius is not only the sign of like humanity, but it's also the sign of being unique. It's the Aquarius energy is like, you can picture like the dude with the skateboard, and then the lady with a business suit, and then the priest, and then the rabbi, and then all these different unique types of energies that they can come together as one and work as one. Aquarius is such a dynamic and fascinating energy, and we are leading into this. And it's very beneficial to understand that, we see let's go back to that rebellious energy, the 5G towers. We're seeing people gather together to rip down these 5G towers because of how dangerous they are. People are recognizing how dangerous this energy is. They're ripping it down. That's the rebellious energy for a higher reason, for a better, for the greater good. Again, that's very Aquarius energy. So it's good and it's bad, it's constrictive and it's excessive, expansive. It's all of those things. And it's just going to become more and more of that as we go on. Okay, so I think I covered everything I wanted to with that. The next thing I'm going to go into is how to protect ourselves with this powerful transformational process we're going through. So number one, Aquarius energy is not grounded. Again, this energy is, it's again ruled by Uranus and Saturn. Uranus is the god of the sky. It like basically rules the stars. And Aquarius energy is very much associated with astrology itself. Okay. It's very much unearthly. Okay. And it's like radio waves, that type of energy. It's not connected to Earth. And here we are as humans, we're constantly receiving positive ions from the sun, from the heavens. And because we wear shoes and live in houses and work in office buildings, we are not connected to Earth receiving the negative ions. So the positive ions come from the heavens, the negative ions come from Earth. And just like a battery, we really need both to function properly. Okay. So that being said, it is extremely beneficial to get outside and touch Earth as much as possible to keep ourselves grounded. The best possible thing you could do is touch Earth with both bare feet. It's best to not be standing on grass because grass is alive and it needs that energy. It's best to be standing on sand or stone, or even water is really the best, but that's going to help us stay grounded. And there is plenty of research to back up what I'm saying here. What happens to the cells and our blood cells in our body when we are connected to Earth, everything starts functioning better. Everything starts healing, okay? So touching Earth is huge. Now, if you can't do that, there's something called an earthing pad or a grounding pad. I'm sitting on one right now, And what this does is it connects you to Earth through, it either goes through like a hole in your wall or out your window, or it goes into the grounding part of the outlet that, you know, there's the two prongs and there's one in the middle. This thing connects to the grounding part, the one in the middle, to help keep you grounded. Okay, an earthing pad or a grounding pad, or just touching Earth. Now, the next thing I would say is stones. Okay, I talk about this a lot because they have been such an incredibly beneficial part of my life throughout these past, I don't know, 7 years now. I've been working with stones very closely, and I feel very strongly in what I'm about to say, that these stones help protect us. Okay, this reflects all this radiation that's coming off of my my laptop right now. I am protected with black tourmaline. Okay, this reflects that energy away from me. Doesn't have to be black tourmaline. There's shungite. I love to put this piece in my water. There's obsidian. Okay, now you're noticing that I'm pulling up all these dark stones. As a general rule of thumb, the dark stones are going to protect. Okay, labradorite is another really good one that I like to use. That is, it's not only protective, but the other thing I like about labradorite is that it's really good for communication. So it helps me speak clearly and concisely while I'm making these videos. Now, one of my all-time favorites is lapis. Okay, lapis is this beautiful dark stone. It's got pyrite in it. Now, this stone is extremely powerful for protecting your body. I've got a lapis pendant that I like to wear sometimes. Another one that's extremely protective. Now, when we talk about protection and that sort of thing, basically what I'm getting at is that the darker stones are good for protection as, again, a general rule of thumb. The, you know, clear stones, this is clear crystal quartz. This is actually a Lemurian. So this is very clear. This is clear crystal quartz. I would never want to sit in front of my computer or any of my devices for that matter with just these guys, because they are amplifying the energy. This is not serving me any kind of protection. However, when we get into something like this is, I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly, tourmalinated quartz. Basically, what this is clear crystal quartz with the tourmaline inside of it. So it actually does both. It protects and it amplifies, okay? Also, smoky quartz is another one that protects and amplifies. Amethyst is another one that protects and amplifies. Now, when I mentioned prayer earlier, I use a lot of prayer in my life because it's really helped me a lot. And I'm certainly by no means a part of any sort of organized religion or anything like that. When I pray to the heavens, the celestial bodies up there, okay? And I have a lot of like moon rituals, new moon rituals, full moon rituals. And when I'm doing that, I'm using these stones to protect me, not only from the, you know, radiation and that sort of thing, but also from a spiritual end, protecting this vessel from unwanted, you know, dark forces or anything like that. But I also want the amplifiers to help me stay connected when I'm saying those prayers, to really help me stay connected with those energies. Now, I need to mention this. By no means do you have to have all of these things. I've been doing this for a long time, so I've accumulated some stuff. But you could literally go out to your driveway, and I have done this. I did this 6 years ago or so. I went out to my driveway and held on to a stone that appealed to me that I just found outside, and that is grounding and protective. And, you know, definitely some stones might be a little more powerful than others, but going out, this is how I started. I went out and I found a stone that appealed to me in my own driveway, and I used that in prayer. And really what I did was I started praying to manifest more powerful minerals into my life to work with as tools. So that's something else I wanted to say. You don't have to, you know, again, have money to buy all this stuff. In fact, you can use those stones to help bring, I mean, you know, again, just a stone you found in your driveway to bring this kind of stuff into your life. Okay, let's see here. I think I covered all the things I wanted to cover on a collective level. Now, if you're still here with me, then you are amazing, okay? What I'm gonna do now is give you a little reward and show you how to check to see how this energy is manifesting in your own life, okay? So what we're looking at here is my own natal chart. Now, the natal chart is a very personal and private thing for some people. Personally, I like to share mine so that people who know a little bit about astrology can understand how I function, can understand who I am. They can even see, you know, where I might, you know, have challenges or whatever. And I, you know, just going off like the Mayans, their name was their birthday, and they understood astrology, and so they knew what people were about. If somebody is like, oh, you're a Capricorn, Leo rising, moon in Scorpio, wow, that's very powerful. That, you know, you could just understand people a little bit better. So that's why I like to use my own natal chart. I'm not afraid to share it. Now, so this is my natal chart. This is what I was born with. When I was born, Earth was right here. Okay, I'm using geocentric Western astrology. Earth would be right here. And this is where all the celestial bodies were around me when I was born. Okay, so this doesn't change. I go through transits. We all go through transits and progressions and that sort of thing. But this is the thing that does not change. So you can get your natal chart. There's so many different ways you can get your free natal chart online. But again, what I'm working with here is Western astrology. You can also go into Vedic astrology and understand the sidereal side of things, which is also accurate but different. That's a whole nother story. But if you just look up, you know, free natal chart for Western astrology, you can pull this up for yourself. Look at your own natal chart. What you need is your birth date, time, and location. Okay, and it's going to show you something that looks like this. There's always going to be these 12 things that look like slices of pie. Okay, this is always going to be the first one. First one's always right here. This is always going to be the second one. This is always going to be the third one, all the way up to the 12th house. These are called houses, and what they are areas of our life where things manifest. Okay, so what you want to do when you're looking at your natal chart, you don't even have to pay attention to all these little things. Schedule a reading with an astrologer to understand all of it. But just to understand where this powerful transformation is going on for you in your own natal chart, all you got to do is look for where the symbol for the sign of Capricorn is and where the symbol for the sign of Aquarius is. For some people, it's going to be over here. For some people, it's going to be over here. That's the thing that changes in everybody's natal chart. So you can see right here, okay, this is the symbol for Capricorn. This is the symbol for Aquarius. Now going into a little further detail here, this green energy is Capricorn energy. This yellow energy is Aquarius energy, because Capricorn is an earth sign. The green means it's an earth sign. Aquarius is an air sign. Yellow means it's an air sign. Okay, just like Taurus right here is green because it's an earth sign. Up here, here's Virgo. It's green because it's an earth sign. Yellow, air signs, Libra. This is Libra. Okay, I don't want to confuse anybody. I want to try and simplify this as much as possible. So we can see that this, and it's going to vary slightly depending on what software or website you're using, but for the most part, this is what you're going to be looking at. Even if it's a whole sign chart, it's still going to be pretty much what you're looking at, okay? So you look for where this Aquarius or this Capricorn energy is and this Aquarius energy, and look for these colors. This is all Capricorn energy. This is all Aquarius energy. So in my own natal chart, this manifests in my first and my second house. In fact, I will just very briefly show you right now. I created just an anonymous natal chart. Okay, we can see right here. I just made up a birth date and time. Okay, so we can see over here, here's the Capricorn energy. It's green right here. And here's the symbol for Aquarius. This is Aquarius energy. So we can see for this Anon person, that this has been going through their 8th house and is moving into their 9th house, okay? So these little numbers right here are going to tell you where the houses are, but you don't even need those little numbers. All you need to know is that this is the first one and this is the 12th one, and then you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and around. And I'm going to tell you what all these houses represent, so that way you can understand. So I just want you to understand that it's going to be different on everybody's natal chart. Okay, so let's go back to mine so I can show you what I'm talking about. All right, now, and another reason I wanted to use my own natal chart is so you could understand another important part of all this. Okay, so I'm going to go through the houses and tell you what they mean. Okay, so the first house is the house of self. If this energy has been manifesting through your house of self, then you have been going through an extremely powerful transformational process within yourself. Okay, now it's manifesting in your second house. This is the house of values, money, and possessions. If it's going through your second house, you can expect some changes that have to do with your value system, your income, and the things that you possess, your material items that you possess, okay? Now, the third house is the house of communication and sharing information. Also has to do with siblings. The fourth house is the house of home. If this has been going through your fourth house, you probably have been going through some sort of a move or redoing your house or something like that, remodeling, something like that. Fifth house, this is the house of children and creativity. The sixth house is the house of health and being of service. In fact, almost with the exception of one person, every single client that this energy has been going through their sixth house has been going through some pretty devastating or at least extremely challenging health experiences, having to go through some surgeries or that sort of thing. But again, this is a death and rebirth process. We can really grow from this, even though it might be challenging, okay? The seventh house is the house of relationships. If this has been going through your seventh house, you're probably going through an extremely powerful transformational process in your relationships or partnerships. Eighth house, this is the house of transformation. If it's going through your eighth house, woof, you've been seriously going through some very intense transformation. Ninth house, this is the house of higher learning and advanced knowledge. The 10th house, this is the house of career and public life. If it's been going through your 10th house, then, I mean, I can't even tell you how many clients have new clients that have reached out to me specifically because they just got fired or, you know, something is going on with their job, and lo and behold, I pull up their transits and it's going through their 10th house, their house of career. 11th house, this is the house of associates, hopes, and wishes. 12th house is the house of karma. This is the house of self-undoing. If this is going through your 12th house, then you are peeling layers back like an onion to get to the core of who you are. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to use my own natal chart is because I wanted to really show you guys what I'm talking about here. I will pull up my transits to show you what I'm going through or what I have been going through, and you can see, okay? So this inner ring right here is my natal chart. This is the exact same thing that we were looking at. This outer ring is where the celestial bodies are right now in accordance to my natal chart. So that's, again, here's that Capricorn energy, here's that Aquarius energy, and there they are. There's Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. These guys have been going through my house of self. I am not exaggerating when I say that about 6 years ago, I was very close to death. This transit almost killed me, okay? Pluto, death and rebirth. So I have experienced an incredibly powerful transformational process within myself, a death and rebirth. Really, seriously, the old Erin died and there's this more powerful rebirth that grew over these past 6 years. Now it's moving in to my house of values, money, and possessions. So we can see, now I know that I can expect some, you know, changes again in my value system or whatever. So that is the gist of that. And honestly, if you are still here watching this with me, then you are a serious trooper. That was a lot of information, and I completely understand if I lost your interest halfway through. But for those of you who stuck it out, I reward you with, hopefully you can see for yourself. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out and schedule an astrology reading. Don't feel rushed to get an astrology reading before December 21st, because this transit is, you know, again, this is going to be kind of unfolding over the next year and a half. So again, it's like, even if you get the astrology reading in February of next year, it's still going to tell you a lot. Okay. If you'd like to schedule an astrology reading, visit ErinWaageAstrology.com, or just send me an email at ErinWaageAstrology@gmail.com. That's ErinWaage astrology.com or at gmail.com. Although I do suggest going to my website first so you can see my prices. And there's even a little video on there so you can see how I like to give my readings. So again, thanks for sticking with me through this, you guys, and best wishes to everybody. And until next time, namaste to all of you.